Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance, where you can be a member of the Shannons Club. Pace Farm, the enjoyable egg. Hare and Forbes Machinery House. And Gun Lake Quarries. This week, I bring you to beautiful Tumut, New South Wales, on the banks of the Blowering Reservoir, to catch up with a few locals and their cars in this week's episode of Classic Restos on the Road. What a great place to visit, sit and relax. Not that I'll be doing that today, but Tumut sits on the northwest foothills of the Snowy Mountains, often referred to as the gateway to the Snowy. Tumut is around 400 k's southwest of Sydney and around 520 k's northeast of Melbourne, home to a number of historic buildings, and many of the pubs in town have been active since the mid to late 1800s. Visit Tumut when you can. You'll be glad that you did. Moving through Tumut as you do. How you doing, Daryl?
Yeah, good. Fletch, yourself, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Nice location. You live in a nice part of the world, mate.
Yes, all but the flies, mate. All but the flies.
You got a nice Holden you've brought here to the Blowering Reserve. Nice car.
Yeah, she's a good old girl. I like the old classic chrome bumper bar cars.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Now, at first glance, it's a HQ, but it's not. It's a 78. It's a HZ, right?
Yeah, she's a HZ. So, Fletch, she definitely is.
Yeah. That's the thing with these models in the 70s of the Kingswood. You could switch a few things around, and WB nose cones, different things that you could do to them.
Yeah, it's a lot of things to play with, whatever shape you like and what dashes you like. That's the main real difference in them. And suspension, of course, and the HZs are radio tuned. It's the first time they come in.
So best of both worlds, a bit of a early look and a little bit more drivability, which is always nice.
Yeah, that's always good.
So, Daryl, how long have you had it?
Oh, I've had it for about 10 years as a chassis. I started that way, and it's been on the road for about 8 years.
It's good to see a one-tonner done up like this. They are around. Who would have ever thought many decades ago that one-tonners would ever go this way?
Yeah, even the old Commodores are starting to come in the run these days. It's amazing what's coming in, especially since Ford and Holden have left the country.
Yeah, just having anything in our possessions is just pure bonus, isn't it?
Anything made in Australia, Fletch.
There you go. Yeah, isn't that getting rare now, huh?
Yes, it is indeed. Daryl,
nice interior. Love the GDS dash.
Yeah, it is nice. I'd like all the gauges to see what the engine's doing after you spend that much money on a car.
Yeah, I'm just the lights. No, you've got to have gauges.
Yeah, you've got to have gauges. Lights don't help you much at all.
When you're sitting in traffic, you've just got to be able to monitor stuff, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You see what temperature you are, what oil pressure's doing. Yeah. You want to see what she's doing.
Absolutely. Now, colour of this one tonner, Daryl, it pops here in the sun. It's a beautiful blue. What is it?
It's actually a Toyota colour from a Camry. I think it's Aster Blue or something like that by memory.
Well, there you go, Toyota. You've done well with your blue. It looks great.
Yes, I did like blue. I'm a blue fan.
Engine up front, what have you done there?
It's a 308, but she's a balanced and bottomed end and that sort of stuff. A bit of head work, custom cam, runs a fuel injection throttle body.
Mate, just tell us quickly, what do you do in Tumut?
I'm an auto electrician. I own my own company there.
Yeah, well done. Plenty of work on?
Yeah, flat out, mate. Yeah. Unbelievable.
It's good. Getting around New South Wales, I'm hearing this. No one's really quiet. Everyone's busy, which is great to see.
It is good. Good for the Australian economy and good for the country.
Yeah. Now, the car fraternity here in Tumut, what's the name of your club? What are you a part of?
The Snowy Cruisers Club. We're just a club of like-minded people that like good cars. Not really brand specific, just a good car.
And how many have you got in your club?
There's 86 members with 98 cars.
How cool is that?
Yeah, no, we've grown pretty quick. We're probably about only 4 years old, but we're growing pretty fast.
And the 98 cars, Daryl, a broad spectrum right across?
Yeah, right across from Toyota, little Corollas, right up to the HQs, the Commodores, the Falcons. We've got Cobras in the club. We've got Escorts. We've got everything you think about the 80s and 70s and even the 60s.
Do you guys have a big meet once a year somewhere? Or?
Oh, we try to. We go a lot of cruises, a couple of cruises a year around the place. We sometimes do overnight runs to Jindabyne. Yeah. Just get around and enjoy driving the cars and see them on the road.
Good on you. Well, Daryl, look, thank you so much for turning up here today. Now, I believe you've got a couple of other members organised to turn up from the club.
Yeah, I do indeed. They should be in later on for you, and they should turn up for you nicely.
Good on you, mate. Well, thanks for taking time out. Daryl's a couple of staff down today, so he's up against it. Mate, thanks for leaving the workshop. Do appreciate you turning up, Daryl.
Thanks, Fletch. Appreciate time and effort, mate.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
See you, mate. Here we are at the boat ramp at the Pines on Blowering Dam. This is where Dave Warby launches his boat. A nice spot. A lot of people camp here, and a lot of people usually have boats on the weekends around the Blowering Dam. My boys say my ute's me. It's I started with a bare chassis and built it myself. Only thing I didn't do was top coat. I built the engine, I done the suspension, I done the whole car including the tray. The interior I done myself. I just love cars. I've got a few other cars I'm slowly working my way through. I'm fussy, so my kids tell me, and so my workers tell me I'm fussy. I'm a Holden boy, I'm an Australian boy. I just love the old V8s. The Snow Cruisers Club's what I'm a part of. We have 86 members by memory and 98 cars at the moment, the last record. The club is very community based. We like the town, we love the town, we love the dams. We're in a really good spot in Australia, we believe the best spot. We'd like a classic Restos to come back and do a car club event on a weekend possibly, so we can get some more members out and about. Because a lot of us are all loggers and a lot in the heavy industry stuff, so it's hard to get us out and doing it weekdays. Yeah, well I started with, I was driving another ute, a very similar colour, and I started with this one as a chassis, and I was getting my ute right to change over to this one as I was doing it, so I had 2 utes at the time, and it's worked its way up from there. As I got a bit of money, I've done something else to it, picked up parts cheap. Before, all parts at the moment have gone through the roof on the internet. Everybody's sort of charging a fortune for basic old stuff now. And just slowly put it together over about 4 years it took me to get on the road, from a chassis to as you see now. I've always thought Holden's, anything Australian built was a strong and quality car. That's pretty sad, it's gone offshore, but it is a very strong car, even the forwards were. The build quality and everything else in anything Australian, I'd put my money on it any day of the week. I hope you've enjoyed looking at my car today.
I was 16 when I first saw her. Loved her utterly. She was so sweet, so perfect, still is. She's got a whopping great 2-stroke engine under that gorgeous aerodynamic body. Insurance? Well, Shannons, of course.
No one knows your passion like Shannons. That's why we offer special limited usage rates and even club plate cover. So call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Hare and Forbes Machinery House has been family owned and operated for over 85 years, and it's easy to see why. Planning on welding? Look at these welding tables and clamps, air compressors and different air tools, sandblasting cabinets, through to spray guns. Everyone is welcome at Machinery House. There are competitive freight rates around Australia, and you can buy online at machineryhouse.com.au. So remember, Hare and Forbes has the range. Just to switch things up for you this afternoon here in the beautiful Tumut area. We did earlier filming at Blowering Reservoir, and now we've come about 20 odd kilometres to Junction Park, haven't we, Rex?
Yes, Fletch, we're here, and it's a great day.
Thanks for coming along.
It's been nice for you to invite me.
Beautiful location here, many beautiful locations around this region. 69 Mustang behind us, a Mach 1, beautiful car.
It is a nice car. It's something I've cherished for a while, actually. I've looked for it for quite a while.
Rex told us off air that he's not that mechanically inclined, but I do admire that, because not everybody's got workshops and has the tools and the hoists and goodness knows what, but there are a lot of us, a lot of people that admire our cars, turnkey, get in and drive, and that's what it's all about as well. It's just enjoying the whole excitement of the classic vehicle, right?
That's correct. I'm probably down on skill as well, if you include everything else. So, yeah, I just enjoy Sunday afternoons. It's a drive to go out to lunch or somewhere like that.
Well, regardless of status or mechanical ability, I just have an overall respect for anybody that even has an interest in a classic vehicle, whether it be a bike, a car, a truck, it doesn't matter, an old steam machine, it doesn't matter. I just think it all represents us preserving what is left and getting out there and, as I said earlier, enjoying. Now, when we talk Mustangs, I'm no hero here. I think Mustangs would have to go down as probably the car with that many options, so many codes. I think Mustangs, there is just so much to learn about Mustangs.
Yes, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of different models. There's a lot of different specifications and all those things. for those people who really want to get into it, there's all sorts of information available. To me, it's just about driving it.
All right, so we look at this car and immediately you might think, when you think of engine, you might think maybe a 390. Tell us what it's got.
351 Winsor.
And into the interior, Rex. What an interior for 69. The first of that dashboard and the high bucket seats. Wow, what a style going on there.
Yeah, like it's reminiscent of I had a XA panel van of all things, and you know, the old rim horn steering wheels and the clusters and all that sort of thing. You can see where the progression went, you know, through all the cars we do now. Yep. So, you see it in one form, and then you can see it in an Australian form 2 or 3 years later.
The car overall, history-wise, Rex, do you know where the car's from and what it's done?
It came from Sydney. There's a fella down there.
So it's an ex-cab.
Yeah, yes, yeah. No, it came from Sydney. The man had a number of cars he wanted to get dispose of. Took me nearly 2 years to sort of finally get him to make up his mind, and went down there, had a look, and walked away, paid the money and took the ride.
Been a good car so far, the time you've had it?
I really enjoy it. It rattles, it shakes, it bangs, it makes noise and all that sort of thing. And
they've got their own smells, haven't they?
They do. It just reminds you what cars used to be like before all the rest of the gadgetry came along. So, you know, they're just something you look forward to, and you reward you for what you work for.
It's a car, though, too, with so much image. The first original of the pony car starting in 64 and a half, and it was the model Ford that actually helped to save Ford at that time as well in the United States. Such a symbolic piece of machinery to Ford was the Mustang, and by the time it evolved to 69, to the Mach 1 shape, boy, it just took on a whole new dimension again. Yeah,
I can remember the original, Mustang-bred Falcons, and they certainly changed from what the old XPs and XMs and all that sort of thing, and really took off.
When does it go back with you, Rex, with Mustangs? Like, were you young bloke when you first saw the Mustang and thought, I want one of those one day, or did it come a little bit later in life for you?
A little bit later. I mean, my generation grew up with GT Falcons, so...
Absolutely. Rex, I want to thank you for your time this afternoon, and it's good to see a guy that's worked hard through the decades, wanted his Mustang, sold a couple of other cars, but you ended up with the car that you really wanted, mate, and I'm really pleased that you're happy with that.
I certainly am. Yeah, I don't think I could think of any other car I really enjoyed more.
All right, Rex, well, thanks again, mate. I really appreciate you coming along.
Yep, thanks, Fletch. Thanks for coming to our area. Hope you enjoy yourself.
Yeah, Tumut, I'll be back.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah. We've got plenty more to show you.
Good on you, mate. Cheers.
Okay. Yeah, I guess owning a car like this has been a long journey. When I drive the car, it takes me back to when we had older cars. It takes you back to thinking the noise, the rattles, the way it goes. You're enjoying an era of your childhood, I guess, that when you get older, you'd like to revisit, and some people have the opportunity to do it, and I feel very, very lucky to be able to drive such a nice car, and I think that other people enjoy it as well. I think that people that are looking after older cars are allowing the younger generation to see where their cars came from. I think owning cars, and particularly older cars, gives people an interest, gives people an occupation when, sometimes they need something to take their mind off what's happening in their lives. And even if they don't own a car, they can always share the appreciation of it with other people and enjoy the conversation. So there's a lot to owning an old car that is just beyond the straight material ownership of it. You bring a lot of joy to some people, and some people, when you pull up, they go, I remember my dad had one of those, or what have you. So you're just bringing a bit of the past back to them, and that's a good thing. Well, Fletch, that's my story, that's my Mustang, and thank you for allowing me to share it with you.
My passion for cars began when Nana and Pop bought their new Toyota Crown. It was Nana's, really. She loved that car. We went everywhere in it. My passion now is just the same, even though my cars are a little different. I've still got Nana's car, couldn't part with it. And I reckon if she was here today, she'd be insured with Shannons too.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Got a classic? It just has to be insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And keep in mind too that the Shannons Club awaits you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. Is Fletchy capable of finding stuff or what? It's not every day of the week you find one of these, but before we go any further, hello Dion.
How you going, Fletch?
Mate, fantastic. How are you?
Oh, lovely. Terrific day.
Mate, you live in a beautiful part of the world.
Very nice to be here in Tumut.
Especially when you turn up with a 1969 Toyota Crown Ute. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've never had much to do with these things.
No, well, there's not many of them left around the place for 69. It's fairly rare, and this one's original.
You know what, as soon as I saw Dion drive in on the grass towards me, I liked it immediately. Now, okay, a couple of things. It's a Japanese vehicle, and they had a red-hot go with this, trying to bust into the ute market. We know the Japanese were always fantastic copiers. When they did things pretty well. And I think it was pretty, there was a bit of admiration there trying to crack the ute market, because that would have been pretty tough in this country. The first thing that strikes me with this is that it's a large Japanese vehicle.
That's right. It's one of the larger ones. A lot of the stuff that came out in that era was much smaller. These were probably what you call a full-size ute. And, they were fairly popular. From what I understand, they sold a fair few.
When you sit in it, it's as wide as the early Kingswoods. It's VF VG Valiant in width, early Falcons in width. We are so used to our Japanese car being the smaller derivatives, but as I said, this is a good size. So that's number one. Secondly, the room in the back of the tray. Now that's as big as our Falcons or whatever we had here.
That's right. It'd be very similar to HQ and the older Falcons, very similar size and 4-cylinder motor. So a bit more economical than some of those big V8s, I suppose.
So there you go. So there's some accolades straight away. And here's the next one, the interior. Now I look at the dashboard and I just see so much practicality there. It's not even a bad looking style. And like sometimes the dashboards, well, they were fairly bland, especially in these commercial type vehicles back in the 60s. But you can actually sit there and enjoy that view. It's not too bad.
No, that's right. It's probably something they did well back then. Fairly nice bit of chrome, a bit more gauges than your average ute. So, no, very nice dash.
Now, where we do tell that it's a Japanese vehicle is how many cylinders up front, Dion?
She's only 4 in this one. Lots of room under the bonnet.
2 litre?
2 litre, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And see, Japanese reliability, the thing is still going. How many Ks?
It's only got 65,000 miles on it, and it's original. 65,000
miles. It's what a find. This is like a brand new car, but well, in some respects, but it's 2020. It obviously has not had a hard life, Dion.
No, it's been around the area its whole life, sold here new, and it's been well looked after in that time. And I suppose I've had it for the last 10 years and hasn't done a whole lot but cruise around in that time. Japanese
reliability all day with these things. Get in, turn the key, drive it. That's what I like about this thing. Now, obviously, there's a story. How did you find it?
Oh, well, I bought it from my uncle, and he'd bought it from one of the second owner. So it was originally sold in Tumut at the dealership here by my father and my uncle, and then sort of found its way back after a couple of hands, came up, and I grabbed it.
It goes back then, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, like it goes right back. They had my parents and uncle had the dealership here in town. And, they'd sold them and been through the different hands and picked them up from Sydney back in the days when you used to drive them back. Yeah. And, I couldn't resist to get it back.
It's just such in good condition. Original paint, never been restored. I I don't mind this vehicle. I think it's pretty good.
No, it's nice. You got the big old bench seat in there and the 4-speed column, and yeah, plenty of room in there. No carpet or any fancy things like that. So just straight steel floor and a couple of mats, and away you go.
I remember when the Toyota Crowns in the 70s were brand new. They were a full size Japanese luxury car. Well, they weren't high up in the power stakes, but they did have an overhead cam 6-cylinder engine, and very, very nicely appointed. Now, back in the 70s, the Toyota Crown was a full-size Japanese car. Not high up in the power stakes, of course, but it was nicely appointed.
That's right. They're a very different vehicle, and as you say, they're all very well appointed, especially in that time. They had all the good gear in them compared to some of the locally manufactured cars. So, yeah, they were quite a luxurious car for that time period.
I've always had a lot of time for the early Japanese vehicles, and there's reasons for that. Just with their build quality, they were reliable, and it was actually the Japanese vehicles that really started making our Australian car companies honest and really kept them on their toes.
Yeah, I think you're probably right with the level of appointments, as we said before, and that type of thing, and the quality of finish. Yeah. I think it really sort of picked up the market in that line of things and worked from there.
This ute, 100% original, has never been restored, and when you see the date stamping on the top radiator hose, 19th of January 1974, you know you've got the real deal. And the hose is still soft and pliable, not hard and crunchy. Dion, I want to thank you so much for dropping past here today to Junction Park. Beautiful location, bringing the Toyota here. And I think, without banging on too much about it, you'd be the first on Classic Restos in around 650 odd episodes. I don't believe I've had one of these. If I have, I've forgotten. But mate, thanks again for coming along.
No worries at all. Well, this Toyota Crown here, this ute, means a fair bit to me. We got hold of the car back in probably about 10 years ago. The car was originally sold in Tumut by my father and his brother in the local Toyota dealership, and I was able to purchase the car back, as I said, about 10 years ago. And it's nice to have something that is 51 years old, 1969 model, that was sold new. It's got a lot of family history. It's in excellent condition for an original car. And it's enjoyable to drive. You can jump in it, cruise down the highway, big bench seat, 4-speed, and just enjoy it. No radio, nothing to distract you. Just enjoy the car and the road and cruising down, enjoying yourself. For a ute, it's fairly good to drive. Nice quiet little 4-cylinder in it. Very easy to steer, very light in the steering, very light little vehicle, nimble. And it moves along pretty well, quite easily, 100 kilometres an hour and cruise all day. And doesn't use too much fuel. The exhaust pipe's about the size of a drain pipe in your sink. It's not very big and pretty comfortable. Just very cruisy type car that's easy to drive. I'm a member of the Snowy Cruisers Car Club here in Tumut. It was started probably 3 or 4 years ago by some blokes who wanted to get these type of cars out of the sheds and be able to drive them. So put the club together, and the club has just grown immensely. And excellent little club. We get out and do 3 or 4 runs a year, the official runs if you want to call them that. And there's plenty of other opportunities where 2 or 3 cars get together and just go for a run, go have a feed, and just enjoy the day and get the cars out amongst the public. It's great. It's great to be able to get the car out and enjoy them. You've got to have a hobby, you've got to have a bit of passion for the things that you do. It's great to go for a drive and enjoy the cars. Got to look after them. My cars are all insured with Shannons, and they look after me. It's really good, and we get them out and we enjoy ourselves. And the opportunity to be on Classic Restos today, it's just great. Really enjoyable, so pleased to be here.
Well, I hope you really enjoyed this week's episode of Classic Restos, filmed in the beautiful Tumut area of New South Wales. It's a big thanks to the Snowy Cruisers Car Club. We had Daryl, Rex and Dion, 3 great guys and their sensational cars. Until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance, where you can be a member of the Shannons Club. Pace Farm, the enjoyable egg. Hare and Forbes Machinery House. And Gun Lake Quarries.